25%. Richard.
Yeah.
The price is down 6% from 25.4. And actually, you guys can use a calculator for this.
I need a calculator. I need a calculator.
No.
Yeah, I need a calculator. I'm also doing it to say that again.
You, okay, well, we'll work with that in the bit. You are going to do a cylinder.
This is the cylinder.
Yes, there, the volume of the cylinder. Oopsie.
Oh, I couldn't see where is that.
I'm not sure what kind of cylinder that is.
I'm Marcus Jones.
Go like this.
Yeah.
Cylinder
Was
like
it
that.
inches or
It's
feet?
going to have a radius of 4 inches and a length of 12
Was it inches or feet?
inches. Oh, here. Give me,
A radius of force that comes in here in the middle like that.
yes.
Yeah.
Close enough.
You're right.
Write your formula out. All right, Richard, yours is, the price is down 6% from 25.4. $25.40.
20 cents.
Decrease in 6%. Give me the final price. All right. This is the first cylinder based on ATS 12, 6, 60 inches. Perfect.
Make your calculator.
Now, give me, Leah, the volume of a rectangular prism. That is,
That V equals 11 inches.
we'll go like this. Oops, whoa, what kind of ridiculous. All right, so we'll go on 4, 5,
That is it. LW.
you tell me.
Is that what calculating? Yeah. I do what you're supposed to do. I do what I do in my book, and that came out.
Did I get it right?
And always comes out my book, right?
Yes, perfect. Very good job.
Is it feet or inches?
And, I don't care. I didn't give you any.
Okay, what's my next one?
Perfect. Actually, now I'm going to give you, the original price was 61, yes. The original price is $61.33, and it goes up 20%.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did that already?
No,
We'll go up 15% then.
well, like, it was like, you
We're gonna go up 15%.
So go like this.
Yeah, looks right.
Okay.
I got it right.
I think so.
I can do this.
You're so smart.
I know. Sometimes you act smart too.
Did I actually get it right?
I think, let me just, hang on, where'd you calculate? Go 25.9, 55.9 times 0.94. Hey, you did. 25.9 times 0.94.
You're right.
No, you didn't get it right.
24, 34? That means.
Yeah, well, how do you come up with that number?
Oh, I was supposed to go 94%. And.
Well, that's one way to do it, yes.
Was it in an increase or?
Do that, or you have to go to 10.06, then you have to subtract that. And I don't think $1.50 is 6% of 25.90. Hang on. Well, it's not whatever, it matters in the long run. 25.9 times 0.06. Oh, 1.55, so you were wrong. That's 1.5. There's your problem. And then, this is. 1.40. Oh, I get it, I understand. I thought this was a 9, the way you drew it. All right.
You're supposed to round
No,
it.
that's right.
You're supposed to round it up, right? Or no?
Yeah, round up to the nearest cent.
Is that the right answer? Was it an increase or decrease?
It was a decrease.
Okay.
It was a decrease of 15%.
Okay.
All right. Good. Now you're going to do a triangular prism.
Is it true?
Yes, so it's triangular prism. This is beginning to be a terrible marker. Why did they all go terrible so quick? It's like brand new. We're going to call this 15. We're going to call this 8. And the height is 6. And Leah, did you just circle it?
No,
You're going to.
It's your turn.
All right.
Your turn.
Hang on a second.
Here, yes.
five L with a
So
little X,
3,
is that an accent or something?
radius of 3 inches,
Then
Not that.
and a length
Is there one,
of 6 inches.
Is there,
Get it close, get it to the nearest 100.
no, I can't even do it, something like that. One second, what?
There's your answer. It's not.
Round everything to the
What
nearest
is it?
100. So it's
Yes.
0.00. That's
Six.
places I need.
That's a lot.
That's fine.
Alright,
Two.
what have you not done yet, Richard? Have you
Is
done-
that the right answer?
I didn't do any addition.
Did you do any addition?
What?
Well, yes, you did. If you do any multiplication, you did a little bit of addition.
Yes, that's
Alright,
right.
yeah, I'll make a nice problem for you. Nice high quality problem.
And
Why
yeah.
don't you do oh, this will be a fun one. We're gonna do a trapezoidal prism.
Oh, those are easy.
Yeah, see if you can figure that one out.
Okay.
We're just gonna go 4, 3 with a height of 2 and a length of 8.
Was my answer right? It was supposed to be this.
I don't know what the answer is, I worked it out.
You don't want to work it out.
Which one was it here?
Is this inches or centimeters or?
Call it centimeters.
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 All right.
Centimeters.
You do a rectangular prism.
Well,
A rectangular prism whose sides are 6, 4,
oh yeah.
12.
It is just like what we read, right?
So how do you do that number there, Richard?
I don't know, I just did it in
Nope. I wanna see your work. I mean,
Okay.
don't use your calculator because this is too easy for that.
This one here is given out too. I don't know.
So you go,
Is that right?
area of the triangle, you go 4 plus 3, that's
Write your
7.
formula, I need your formula.
Now,
Me? You need my formula?
I don't know. Where's your work?
I erased it, so.
Go.
This is,
Okay, so here's your problem right here. Your R squared, what does squared mean?
That's your work now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's the right answer. I get it right.
Well, yes,
You're supposed to go length width and height, that's it, it's just that easy, right? Simple.
okay, so Richard, how did you?
What's my next
You did
I went-
and what?
that plus that,
Alright.
7, then
Yes, that's correct. You can go back to your seat, go back to your seat.
sorry.
Oh, I didn't see yours. Check it the second time.
Well, I thought you meant.
Huh?
So I go like this, that's 7 times 2, 14, and it's 1/2 of that, so 7. 7 times 8.
But you know what else?
What?
It's very important to write things out. You know why it's important to write things out?
I don't know.
Because one day you're going to have a problem that's too big to work in your head. And then you're going to need to know how to work it out.
Does that have happen in places like college and stuff.
It happens in places like the last place I worked. Actual real life problems. All right, so. So the formula for an area of a trapezoid is, Leah? Area of a trapezoid,
A equals half base 1 plus base 2 times weight.
times the height. And area for, and formula for the volume of a cylinder. Good, volume of a cylinder.
V equals pi r squared.
Kind of, that's part of it. Say what?
V equals capital V.
Capital V, all right, what does the capital V stand for?
Area of the base.
Right, what is the area of the base?
Pi equals radius.
Right. So he had the formula for the area of the base, right? I R, oopsie, R squared times H. But yes, this is what they'll want. When that comes up. As long as you can find the area of the base, you can find anything. All right. Expressions. Simplifying them. No, we did that yesterday. Lesson 7 today. We'll check this one. All right, let's go through from number 1 on page 20. All right. So number 1A is 48 centimeters squared. B is 144 inches squared. 2A is 11 feet squared. B is 31.5 meters squared. 3 is 208 inches squared. 4 is 207 feet squared.
What's 3? Yeah, what's 3?
208 inches squared. Five is 216 centimeters cubed. 6, 84 feet cubed. 7 is 791.28 feet cubed. 8, 3,307.9 inches cubed. In the free test, number 1 is 33x, B is 36c, C is 28y, and D is 72x. Questions? Struggles? Okay. 2, the final answer is 2. B is 7, C is 7, 3A is 360, 4B is 84, C is 57. 4A, 10,000. B is 1, C is 0.0000. There's 4 zeros after the 1.
I have that in fraction.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It is technically correct. The problem is we want the 0. So in C, just don't mark it wrong, just redo it if you wrote it in fraction form. Well, it needs to have 4 zeros and a 1. Whenever they're shooting for, whenever they have the 10s there, yeah. Whenever they have the 10s, they're not really gunning for fraction form. 5A is 10 and 10 to the negative 4. B is 10 to 6. C is 10 to 1. 6 is 1. B is 6. C is 1 over 32. And D is 1 over 225.
Are they negative or not? There's a sign, there's a sign.
The fraction?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are. the fraction is not a negative fraction. It's not a negative fraction, no. It is not. It is a positive fraction. Because it's still a positive number. It's just that it's a very small positive number. Same as for a C, for example, is a positive number. It's just a simple, very small positive number. If you understand. All right.
Are they wrong?
You counted both of those wrong? And both of those, you got a negative on both of them?
Yeah.
Do one wrong. Do X and then minus
I
one.
got 4
I got 0, but
Plus 8. 30. So count your pretest and your lesson together. Okay, 1 wrong is 97, 2 is 93, 3 is 90, 4 is 87, 5 is 83. You catch everybody? Everybody got a grade? All right, lesson 7. What is the order of operations?
excuse me, here and somewhere.
Yes, please excuse, my dear Aunt Sally. You have to remember the please, because otherwise we're free to skip the parentheses. Shinzan? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. All right, so for example, we have a 6 to the power of 2 divided by 9 plus 7 minus 2. How would we work through that? Christopher, what's for a second?
You do 6 squared, which would be 36. Then you go to that,
Richard, stick with us rather than doing your own work right now.
then you go divided by 9%.
All right, that's the first step. Richard, what's the next step?
I would just divide 36 by 9.
36 divided by 9. Yes, that is the next step. 36 divided by 9 is
4.
4 plus 7 minus 2. What's the next step? Leo?
4 plus 7.
Hmm?
4 plus 7,
Okay, what is that?
11.
11. We can actually just throw the minus 2 in there as well. Cody? Perfect. Because this is whatever. We can do that in one step if we wish. It doesn't matter. Well, that's not what they say, but you can. Addition and subtraction, you can do it in one step. It's fine. Come back here. Ooh, wow, good. Powers of 10, negative powers of 10, we struggled with a little bit. How do we figure this out? So if we have 10 to the negative 5th power, what do we do? 10 to the negative 5.
You go 0 point, and then you count 4 zeros. And then a 1.
And then a 1, yes. So basically you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually the same going forward, right? So if you have 10 to the 5, you go 1, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That decimal point is always behind the 1. So it's the positive 5, you have 5 zeros, it's just the negative 5 has 4 zeros. It's just always on the right side of the 1. That's what the decimal point always winds up. 1 is to the power of negative 10. Also, quick little refresher, 6 to the power of negative 4. Oh no, let's go to negative 2, because I don't really do that. 6 to the power of negative 2. What do we do?
We want number 6.
1/36, yes. Pretest. It is a positive number, it's very small. All right, so the pretest today is percents again. Happy days are here again. You will be fine. So this is probably a realistic set of problems. Why don't we go to let's go to the practice set over in lesson 8 real quick. And pull out a calculator. You're not allowed to use a calculator on the pretest, but we'll. Wait a minute, I'm the teacher here, I make the rules. Yes, you are. Here's the reason. If you get it wrong and you're using a calculator, I know that the application or the system isn't sticking with you. But if you get it wrong and you're using you're doing all the math manually with your fingers, then you might have messed up on the application, and that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to teach you. All right, so percentage applications on page 30, number 3. Let's do that one right now. So they have a washer they're selling for, I don't want to do that one. Don't want to do that one either. Here we go. $5,725. Loaned out at 7.5% interest, 7.5% for 2 years. So here's the problem. They figure the interest out every year, right? And actually, there are a bunch of lying sacks. No, they're not. We're simplifying it. This is not real world applications after all. All right, that's all right, it's simple. Our formula is interest equals PRT, which is principal times rate times time, yes. What's our principal? $5,725. What's our rate?
7.5%.
7.5 what percent? I mean, 7, so that would come out to, what's the number, what's the real world number?
0.075.
0.075, yes. How do you come to that number?
And you move the decimal to
0.075, yes, so we take 7.5% and move it doink. Yes, 0.075. So multiply that by that, and then multiply it by
2.
2 years, the time. All right, what's our number? What's the interest we earned?
$858.75.
All right, so our interest is $858 and, what did you say, 75 cents?
Yeah.
76, you need to round it up.
Well, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't.
There ain't nothing else.
Hang on.
75.
Easy. How's that working?
I mean, I'm gonna use it as my calculator.
We have 8 times 2, which could be 16.
What's going on?
429.38. Okay. Yeah, so what happens happened was, yeah. Let's see what happened. Doesn't matter. All right, yeah, so set 0.75, that'll work. All right, so then you add your principal and your interest together. And you get,
You get $6,583.75.
no, the thing is, what they did is they rounded it sooner than you did, so. Because you used a calculator, it came out 1 cent different, which doesn't matter. They rounded it. See, so they went, doing $5,720, if you do this in your calculator, you see what I mean. Doing $5,725 times 0.075, what do you get?
Huh?
5,000, here's what they did. $5,725 times 0.075, what do we get?
And then they rounded to 38.
They rounded-
Yes,
And you rounded to 38. So that's where it came out. So it doesn't matter if you,
It's frustrating, you know, almost like it like messes you up.
it does. Because they did it in 2 steps, it came out 1 cent different.
Does it matter? Or would you-
In this case, I would not mark it wrong.
Okay.
Once I figured out what you did. All right, 6. Nope, we're not doing that one. Just remember that interest equals, this is your interest formula. Just remember that. Principal times rate times time. All right.
I thought number one was Regents.
Number 1 on the pretest.
Number one was the practice set.
Let's do number 1 on the practice set, yes. So 7% commission on sales of $1,475.
It's really easy. I just want to make sure I know what to do.
It is simple.
Are we doing the practice today?
No, I'm just using the practice set to introduce the pretest, because then we have something that you can work with. How do we figure that out? So we have 1,000, every time he sells something, he sells it for $1,475,
Times.
and he gets a 7% commission. So what does he make every time he sells something?
He gets 0.07% on that.
Right, so basically, we just take this number, 1,475, and multiply it by
0.07, right?
0.07,
That's
yes.
what I figured out.
So now the thing is, say for example, he gets a salary yet on top of this, so say he gets a salary of $2,000 a month, plus plus a commission on however many sales, right? So say he makes 5 sales and 7%, then you add,
I think just add that two together.
Right. exactly, just addition.
Right.
All right, do the pretest.
You have to do less than 7.
Please. All right. Lesson 6, ladies. Check. Right. All right, number 1 is 5. Number 2 is -13. Number 3 is 29. Number 4 is -18. Number 5 is -15. Number 6 is -1. 7 is 14. 8 is 20. 9 is 10. 10 is 4. 11 is -4. 12 is 61.4. Did you just not reduce it right, or? Okay.
I have 122 over 48.
Yes, they want you to reduce that. Mark that one half wrong. 122? Oh, yeah, that'd be right. Yep. The 161 over 24. They want it reduced. Yeah, they want to reduce the lowest terms. They want it simplified to a mixed number. 13 is 13 over 3. 14 is 1 over 4. 15 is 7 over 18. 16 is 39 over 40. 17 is 29 over 24. 18 is 13 and 3/10. Did you tell me what happened?
Well, I kind of lost you. What was 13?
13? 13 over 3.
14, at 3,
1 over 4.
at 3 over 12. Did you
Mark half wrong.
not reduce?
Right, you just didn't reduce it. 15?
Yeah, 7 over 18.
7 over 18. 16 is 39 over 40. 17 is 29 over 24. 18 is 13 and 3/10. Did you reduce it?
I have 1 over
Say in the
1.
instructions, go to a mixed number.
18, let's add or subtract some mixed numbers.
Yeah. Right, 19 is 9 and 11/12. 20 is 4 and 2/3. 21 is 1 and 27 over 40.
I have 1 and 3/5.
I have 1, 13 over 40.
1 and 3/5 does not come out.
I have 1, 13 over 40.
1 and 15 over 40.
15.
13 over 40. Still wrong. 22 is 14 over 9. 23 is 50 over 3. 24 is 540 over 1. 25 should have a dot about halfway between the line -3 and just higher than that. 2.8. 26 should have a dot between the -5 and the 0. Somewhere in there. 27, -50, 50, and 50. 28 is -225, 225, and 225.
I have minutes. Does it matter what order they're in?
29, natural, whole, integers, and rational. 30, commutative property of multiplication. 31, zero property of multiplication. 32, inverse property of multiplication. 33, identity property of multiplication. 34, associative property of multiplication. 35 is irrational numbers. 36 is integers. 37 is rational numbers. 38 is absolute value. 39 is -16. 40 is 0. 41 is -16. 42 is -83. 43 is 34. 44 is 0. 45 is 15. 46 is -14. 47 is -16. 48 is -3. 49 is -7. 50 is 8. 51 is -44. 52 is -22. 53 is 56. 54 is 16. 55 is -7. 56 is 36.
Is it -36?
-36, my bad. Yes. Bless you. One wrong is 98, two wrong is 96, 3 is 95, 4 is 93, 5 is 91, 6 is 89, 7 is 88, 7 is 88. 7.5. Call it 87. 8 is 86, yeah.
86.
No, call it an 87. 8 wrong is an 86, 7 wrong is an 88. All right.
What was number 20?
Number 20. 4 and 2/3.
That 4 and 5 over 15.
4 and what?
5 over 15. I don't know how I thought that's.
5 over 13?
I mean 15.
5 over 15?
Yeah.
Well, that's still wrong, because 5/15 is,
Would be 1/3.
yes. Instead of 2/3. All right. How do you add positive and negative numbers? Say you have a 4 and you add a -6. How do you do that?
It's just, yeah, negative.
How do you find that?
-6 and 3 and 4.
So you find the difference between them, and then you use the sign of the largest number, right? And how about, well, yeah, obviously like a -6 and a -12. What do you do? Just add the absolute values, and then use a negative. So we get pretty simple. All right, multiplying and dividing fractions and arithmetic with decimals. Multiplying and dividing fractions, well, multiplying is fun and easy, dividing is fun. All right, so 3/8, how do we do that? Christie,
Just go 1 times 30,
1 times 3,
that's 30, and then you go 4 times 8, which is 32.
which is 32. Now, say for example, we wanted to divide a fraction.
And you switch the 30 and the 8 around.
Right, so we go 1/4, and we divide by 3/8 equals 1/4 times 8 over
And then
3.
you cross out your 4,
Switch those two,
cross out your 4, and then put a 1 and put a 2 above the 8.
right? You're reducing here before we get any farther, that's
Yeah,
good.
Then I go 2/3.
2/3, precisely. Which is bigger than either of these two numbers. That's
Does it
fine.
matter which one you switch?
Yeah.
Yes, it does, you have to switch the second one. You have to switch the last one.
I don't know if I did that one.
Well, you better. You have to make sure you switch the last one.
If it comes out to like 5/1 or something, you have to write 5/1 or you write 5.
You write 5, you reduce it to 5. If it is, yeah, you reduce it, you always reduce it to the smallest form. You just do not change it to a mixed number unless they specifically say so. So yes, 5/1 just turns into a 5. And as far as mixed numbers go, basically, you just have to change a mixed number to an improper fraction before you work it. So 3.5 times, so let's just do number 8 in your work. If you did it already, that's fine. So that's 2 4/9 divided by 1 5/6. 2 4/9 divided by 1 5/6. So first things first, we change the mixed numbers to improper fractions. So how do we go about doing that for this side?
You go 2 times 9 is 18, and what average 1.
So 18, then you add 4, 22 over 9, then you divide by 11, yes, 11 over 6. All right. So then, now what?
You have to switch cross out the 6. I mean, it is.
We're dividing here.
Oh, switch.
Yes. So first we go 22 over 9 times 6 over 11. That's correct. So you have to switch the last one. And you have to watch your signs. All right, so now we'll reduce. What do we have? 3 and, all right, what do we have up here, Lisa?
2.
Oopsie, my bad. 2 here, and 1 down here. Yes. So that gives us a total, I'm gonna find a final number of 4/3.
Just one.
Right, and because they started out as a mixed number, we'll reduce it back to a mixed number, which is 1 and 1/3. Oh. Any questions on this, on the decimal problems? We're going to assume that you did very much work with decimals and you know where to place them when you're multiplying and dividing.
I just have a 22, but
Say again?
we have a 22.
I can help you. Right, so if you have two, so you're gonna add two numbers together, right? That's what we mean, we have a sum of two numbers. Now we know that when you add them together, they come out to a positive. The first number is negative. Alright, so let's just, walk through this. So we know that, we're going to have a random number, I want to call it n. N plus x equals y, and y is positive. All right, the first number here is negative. What must be true about this number in order to make it come out to a positive?
It has to be bigger than
It has to be bigger than n, and it has to be positive, yes. Do you have something?
I did.
Lisa?
Is there anything that's rational, that'll come under that? The fraction.
Or, well, yes. Basically anything that doesn't come out to a whole number.
How about you like this?
So like you can even have like 4.35 or whatever, and that'd be irrational, but not a whole.
But that's, you know, he said something.
You don't need to use a calculator on that, Christopher.
Huh?
You don't need to use a calculator. I meant use a calculator on the pretest, not on that. Hope not everybody used a calculator on the rest of it. That wasn't necessary. You can hold on to it. didn't need the extra problems.
It would be 50 without.
Skip them for now. If you run out of something to do later today, then you can.
Well, I'm done then.
Hmm?
I said I'm done.
With everything? All your work today? Oh, yeah. It's all right. It's recess time, which is about right then. 3 minutes. Well, not sure how they can get it here so slowly. My microscope isn't going to show up till Saturday. All right. Why don't we do recess? Priscilla, I believe it is your turn.
It's 15, it's never 15, it's like a big decimal mark. Me too, I just erased it.
15?
It was
It was like 64.
huge.
No, I just,
Let me check.
I never did find the bottom of it.
Say 15?
Well, I did the whole thing, and then I decided down the calculator.
I have 64.31.
And then here it just.
I just wrote 64.31. Because it would have been. It was 32, 52.8 divided by 51.
They might want to write it as a fraction.
64, 31, 37, 25.
15. No, round it to 2 decimals.
So 31. 64, 31.
Your team beat. My team beat one and lost one. His team beat one and lost one.
I know, but that last time wasn't fair because everyone's in there for my stroke.
And it is a fun. Just
Are they
she
playing
hit
at
one.
500?
Trying to see if one of them is better.
Oh, she hit me,
You know, don't break one of those.
Number one, Jenny.
At least she's
learning now
instead of when she was
in seventh grade like me.
I never really watched it. Yesterday, I watched it over.
Was this like softball?
Yeah.
500. I like volleyball better than softball because you have to run in softball.
I know.
There's a why I don't like softball. It's too much individually focused, and if you're bad at it, then nobody likes you. In volleyball, if you're bad at it, nobody likes you, but it's still your team. Yeah, like if you mess it up, your team can get help. Yeah, but in softball, if you're just the team is very like that's why it works to mix us with them. Like I said, but then when you do that in softball,
I had a,
yeah.
that was really fun. That wasn't your team, it was the other team. They had the two little ones side by side. One
Yeah,
team-
that, we kind of switched that up.
I have no idea how to do that stuff.
Oh, what do you do? What one?
Just that 15 with
It is.
64.5.
Richard,
Like 64.
can you do the bathroom? Because you're on it. We need more towels and also we need all the stalls have TV. It's gotta because you never know, you know.
That's it.
No real reason.
That probably happened this morning. Chris, are you done with your?
I checked before I,
Is it?
no. We do a quick little double check, make sure everything's in order before we go ahead and do it.
Did it smell good in there?
That is off subject. Good question, but off subject. All right.
Or not of general interest, or whatever the terminology is. Reading today. We will check lesson 30.
Number one, we must move. We are definitely running late here, so. Ready? Lesson 3, number 1. A and B. 2 is C. 3. From crossing the snake.
Is this less than 30?
Lesson 1, 801, right? Yeah, lesson 3. What it says.
Number one is an expression of agreement. Yeah.
Right? Try another tool. That must be an old version. I will pitch that momentarily. There you go. Yes, an expression of agreement. You are correct. Number 2, dislocate. Put out of place, especially to force a bone out of joint, which is something we don't want to experience. 3 is Latin, 4 is away, dis is away, and locare is to place. 5, relocate, collocate, and allocate, or co-locate. Collocate, I'm not sure. I would have to look in the dictionary, which I didn't. 6, some examples. New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, if you said southwest, you're good. 7, a pine tree. 8 is, there's some examples. Maybe sheepskin used as a leather. Also, the fact is that they use a sheepskin as a liner on the bottom side of the saddle, so if you knew that, good for you. But yeah.
Is to make saddle blankets.
Well. That's not what they're using for, but I'm not gonna count it wrong.
I have had some.
That saddle's a good one. Yeah.
I have for sheepskin sandals.
What?
I have for sheepskin sandals.
Yeah, roughly, that's kind of what they have. Obviously, whoever wrote this book didn't know what they were talking about either, so it doesn't matter. I don't care if you don't know how a saddle is constructed. It's not a sin, it's just inconvenient. All right, riata is a synonym of lariat. What is a more familiar word for lariat? Last one. Number 10. Dan said it might storm that day. Mac said a storm was coming, the clouds kept thickening. That's foreshadowing. 11. Here's an example. They were afraid the storm would keep them from crossing the snake's back and getting home safely. Something similar or
Going to town.
getting home, what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
They were afraid it would keep them from getting home. 12. What 2 problems arose that slowed their trip? Number 1 is Mr. Hemingway did not stop at Ingersoll's, and someone needed to go back for the missing brakes.
Is that
Those are worth 1 point apiece. 13. Actually, no, make it worth half a point apiece. 13. They need to rescue Mr. Hemingway. 14. What does the metaphor help you with? Cody?
it was very thin.
All right, yeah, so to understand, the trail was very thin. What do you have, Liam?
It was very narrow.
Yeah, they're trying to actually get you to read even deeper into it. Yep, roughly the same thing, it was a narrow trail. Richard
I
Road.
have, it was small and not wasted.
That's actually a pretty good one. Don't count them wrong, but what they're looking for is that it helps you understand that the trail is narrow and risky. Like you think hanging thread, you think something that's unstable. 15. The description shows the threat and danger of the storm. What do you have? Something similar?
The
Kind of?
cloud was getting closer.
Yeah. It shows that the storm is closing in on them, whatever, something to that effect. All right, 16. A is did Randy, his father, and his mother, and Dan. Those are the 4 characters
I
in the exposition.
have Cleto instead of mine. And it says,
So the important thing is these guys are introduced in the beginning or in the expedition of the story, rather than farther down the line.
So if I just have 3,
It says name 4, but, count a half off for A, I guess. Each A and B are worth a point. Setting. The setting is the snake's back, which is, what's the snake's back?
Very narrow, winding trail.
All right, 17. Who is inciting a conflict? No, what's the incident that introduces the conflict? Christopher. Somebody's saying something's going to happen.
Going over the snake's back, or they'll get.
Well, that's not actually the conflict necessarily. What are they racing? What is the struggle between?
Like the storm and the snake.
The storm, yes. So basically on page 14, it mentions that Dan said it might storm. If you have in there about Dan, you get it right. Dan said it might storm.
I have they were out of food. Cause that's the reason they had to go over.
Yes, but that was. But the conflict isn't with the food. The whole story, the conflict isn't about the food, it's about the snake's back.
No, but that's the reason the conflict started. It said, what inciting incident?
Right, I see why you did that too. I want you to write in that Dan said it might storm. These things are so open to interpretation that this book, if you keep in mind, that gives you the right answer is a little bit, basically you have to have the right answer for quizzes and tests and things, which is why we have the book.
I have these moments to go.
That I'm afraid is wrong. That's not really that's not what the conflict was about in any way, shape, or form, particularly. The conflict was between the trail and the people,
I have a
or the storm and the people.
A storm.
A storm. Well, it's heading the right direction.
Yeah. Storm.
That's close enough, don't count wrong. 18 is A, B, and C. And those are worth a point apiece. 19. Randy's father and others arrived to help the boys, or the boys pulled Mr. Hemingway from his car. Either one of those incidents. 20. The men lifted Randy into the truck and gave him a hot drink.
And I have these songs in extra.
Yeah, that's definitely the point when it starts to ease as well.
I said, Lisa gave Hemingway's coat.
That's roughly down the same line. 21. His father's eyes said something that was better than words. All right. Rewrite the question as a statement of truth. How did you do that, Cody?
Knowledge and experience what affected person's willingness to take risks.
Right. So rather than asking it as a question, state it as a fact. Knowledge and experience affect a person's willingness to take risks.
I have that one.
Perfect. It shouldn't be too hard. An example from the story of a character who took a risk. Leah, what do you have for me?
Randy had to help his friend take care of a wounded man. I don't know.
C, explain the evidence that helps you understand the idea of being willing to take risks.
Knowledge will help you, like if you know how to like deal with risk, it will help you deal with it. Or do you know about the risk?
Yeah, basically, yes. You become more willing to take risks if you have knowledge and experience. Depending on the risk, sometimes actually the knowledge and experience will be like, yeah, well, that risk isn't worth it. Number 23. Fear can become an obstacle that hinders courageous actions. Something similar to that. 24. These ones have to be exact. 24 is sinister. 25 is reverberated. 26 is intruded. 27 is acrid. 28 is surfeiting and roused. Yeah.
All right.
You disagree,
So what?
you're gonna disagree.
Yes. Oh, shoot, I forgot to count them. Thanks for reminding me. One, two, three, 29. 32, 33, 34. Seven, 38. Right, one wrong is 97. Two wrong is 95, three is 92, four is an 89, five is 97, six is 84, seven is an 82, eight is 79. All right, literature. Well, everybody has a purpose for their biography, correct?
I kind of made one up,
Well, that's what you wind up doing, yes.
but it wasn't very like.
Well, the thing is, if your purpose
It wasn't
changes,
close
I don't
enough at
care. Excuse me.
And I'm not,
No, another one, not done. All right.
I'm not sure if that's right, like if I, yeah. I don't know if I can even use that purpose or. something.
Well, if you have to change it, that's fine. I want you to have one down. I'm not even gonna ask you to read it to me. I don't particularly care about it. I want you to have one. I will care about it by the time the grade happens, but I'm not gonna grade anything until it's done. You can change anything.
So what's the purpose?
The purpose sentence? Well, basically, I'm like, so every paragraph even needs you need to start out with a sentence that kind of summarizes the paragraph and then you fill it out. That's the way people think, is you need to kind of summarize it and then you need to give your, kind of, except for a purpose sentence winds up being more like, just kind of an explanation of the whole thing. So like, to show the way God worked in Grandma's life or whatever. Or the way that God led in this way or that way. I don't know. I don't know the stories of your grandma's lives, so that's something you're going to have. Or to show faithfulness in raising a family. It doesn't have to be particularly profound. The thing is, everybody has stories, even you do, of fun things or interesting things, or maybe hard things that happen. And someday possibly your grandchildren will be asking you to write a biography about you, but at this point, here you are on the other end of it. The older you get, the more stories you get. The trick is to be able to remember them all once you get older. It's no problem. Anyway, so we do have to hurry here. Lesson 3. We'll check that right now. C and A. Number 1 is C and 2 is A. Number 3, he was tempted to blaspheme the ordinance, wish some deadly thing on those eating it. I don't know the question, I don't have a buzzer. Is it interesting? Do we care about it? Do you have something similar? We're not going to do anything about Number 4, he hadn't come to the table with enough reverence. 5, he remembered his sins of a cold heart, weariness of doing good, and lack of love. He forgot his experiences of God's goodness. Number 6, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus. That's Romans 3:24. 7, he was tempted again to forget his experiences of God's goodness, the like terrors of death and God's judgment. Number 8, though death was his sting, God was their victory. That's 1 Corinthians 15:25. We do not need the references, I'm just putting the reference. 9 is atheism. 10, what's the question?
It says, tell anything to say, I extra children. These attacks on people when death is given.
Okay, what do you have?
People are weak and maybe they'll just carry those
Okay, Christie?
For 10,
Yes.
well, if they live without each other, they die their life because they're saying they're gonna go to hell.
Because he takes their kids, and he's
Yeah. Yeah, those are all good. 11, what is the question?
It's basically the same, just steering tons of dollars and put water on the beaches.
Okay. And you have answers?
People on the road tend to think about the laws and claim to me that help make them against God.
Yes, that's a good one. Christie?
Because they're probably extra discouraged.
because he thinks fully and God's word are actually strong.
Is wrong. 12. The order is 3-1-4-2. Ring me the bells is 3, Sabbath day is 1, 4 is nothing more again, swearing is 2.
Look at the two switch.
Count that one wrong. 13 is a biography a person writes about himself. Those will actually, there's a possibility that will show up in a quiz or something. You might want to
I don't know
write
if
down, right?
stuff's written about yourself.
Yes. Yep. 14 is John Bunyan. 15, God's word alone is ultimate authority. 16, A is the story of someone's life. B is the person who writes the biography. C is the person about whom the biography is written. And 17 was the question?
Supposed to be a purpose.
Okay, that's it. 17 is your purpose statement, your purpose statement. All right, I will not worry about that. 18 is, okay. Very good. So yes, I do want. Yeah. Two A. Also, I'm gonna give you a grade on that. On 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 was A. All right, so we have 18, 19, 20. They're worth roughly 4 points apiece. So 1 is 96. 2 wrong is 91, 3 wrong is 87, 4 wrong is 83. 5 wrong is 78. So on and so forth. And take will be language class. Is there coffee out there?
Yeah, she made some yesterday. Still.
I'm gonna just back off from that.
Can you spell corral?
C-O-R, oh, why am I spelling it? Should send you to a dictionary. I think it is corral. You gotta take my fallible word for it, though. Yes.
On freshman literature, it
Okay.
says, finding was time to carry frank information on topics that exploit she struggled himself. Should a person, teacher preach on subjects if he struggles in that area himself, why or why not? That makes it sound really harsh. Because if they're honest about it and they say, then I don't care if they do, but if they are sneaking around and talking about
Well, in that case,
it. We have about Bunyan, because he's honest about it.
right. So I think they're talking about, honestly talking about it. That's what I'm thinking they're referring to. But yes, you are right. If somebody is sneaking around, yet preaching on the very subjects that they're struggling with, or sometimes not even struggling, sometimes just wholeheartedly embracing, that, well, they need Jesus. Same as everybody. Okay. Subjects, verbs, and direct objects. Picture. This. All right, so subjects first. Well, actually, subject and verb. Richard, your subject and verb.
Richard concocted.
Richard concocted, yes. All right. So the question with the direct object, there's always something in these sentences, in an action verb, action completed. Let me start over. With an action verb, such as concocted or concoct, there is very often an object or a noun that receives the action. Such is the case here. In your language, you'll be able to follow along. Crazy cool. All right, so what is receiving the action here? Which is basically the question is, what did Richard concoct?
A story.
A story. So this is a direct object. The story was concocted by Richard. All right, Chris.
What, subject and verb?
Subject, verb, and direct object.
Verb, subject, subject, develop is a verb, and film is a direct object.
Film is a direct object. Leo?
Me is a subject, and wrote, is a verb, and facts is a direct.
No. Did Leah write the facts? What did Leah write? Leah wrote a book. That's correct. Oopsie, DD, that makes no sense. DO, yes. So what is this
Preposition of phrase.
describing?
Wrote on the facts.
Yes. So it's an adverb phrase. That's correct. Yes, this is describing wrote. All right, Cody, next.
Cody,
Oh,
subject.
crazy cool.
And then proofread is the verb.
Right.
And result,
Results.
direct object.
Right. Because you did something to them, you proofread them. All right. And back to Richard. What's the
Together
second?
is a verb. No.
Together is a verb. I'm
They,
gonna together you right out of this room.
this is the subject.
They is the subject, yes.
Made is a verb.
You go back to, forget together is there. All right,
And yearbook is a verb.
your book is direct object. What would together be?
Like adjective.
Adverb.
Right, is answering the question. Who? How, when, where? No. Is answering the question how. Well said. They made it together. All right. Let us pick one to diagram. What's your favorite one, Christopher?
My,
Okay, perfect. I was hoping. Here's an easy one. All right, so Christopher develops into, come up here and diagram. You guys have done direct objects before?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
and
This whole book
And
is
indirect. Perfect. I was hoping, because I sure wasn't spending any time teaching you new stuff. I was like, oh, this is so far off.
learning how like. a lot of stuff.
So sum is a,
Sort of there. Adjective.
right, why? There's two reasons.
And it's showing how much film there is.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what that is.
And because it's describing the word film, which is a noun, precisely. Adjectives always describe nouns. Adverbs, on the other hand, are tricky little beggars and they do other things. What are the two things that adverbs describe?
Not nouns.
Not nouns, you're right.
Verbs
Oh,
and
right,
adverbs.
Verbs, adjectives, and
Verbs,
adverbs.
adjectives, and adverbs, yes. I forgot about adjectives for a second, but I remembered it. Adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, and. All right, so what is an indirect object? So we learned direct object, now we have to go back to indirect. Mr. Kent this time, because it's my turn to be in the spotlight. Gave us all a good grade. Probably not. You can pretend. What is the subject? Mr. Kent, yes. And Cody, what is the verb? Gave, what is the direct object? Richard. What did I give?
Use a drink.
I gave a grade, so that is the direct object, because it is the thing that I directly gave. I gave a grade, all right? Now, the question is, indirect object is to whom did I give it? All or us?
All.
Okay.
Us.
Us, yeah.
Us, yes. Us is the indirect object. Why is not all? What is all?
Because you're at the same.
No. All is a legitimate word.
It's an adverb.
It is an adverb, yes. Answering the question,
To what extent? I don't know.
what are the questions and adverb answers?
When,
To what extent?
To what extent? I would say it's probably to an extent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna erase it before we think about it too hard.
Okay.
Perfect. Basically perfect. No, probably not. All right, oh, shoot, I should have, okay, so let's, not worry about that. Let's do, oh, there's a diagram.
1 through 12, let's do 1 through 12.
Let us not. I can do number 11. Because that's a tricky little beggar. There's two different ways to do number 11, and we're going to do both of them. All right, so number 11. Edison built himself a laboratory in the baggage car. We're going to do this.
Edison built himself.
A laboratory, yes.
Do we have to do both of them or both?
Yes, please follow along with, no, just pick one. Pick your happiest one for number 11. Cody, you start. You do the subject, verb, and direct object. Edison built himself a laboratory in the baggage car. Do-do. So Edison is the subject, the verb is. All right,
We need direct.
we need a direct object. The direct object is, what did he build?
A laboratory.
Yes, that is. Ladder's good. All right, Leah, you come up and you do, well, an indirect object. Do you know how to do an indirect object?
What?
How do you diagram an indirect object? What is the indirect object in this case? Himself is an indirect object. The indirect object
Go beneath the verb.
Beneath the verb, there's a slanted line and a straight line. Himself goes right there. Somebody did that wrong. It doesn't go there. It's supposed to go there. Yes. All right, Leah, you come do the rest of it. Where's that go? Yes. So where's the car there?
Because it,
What is it?
yeah,
It is a noun, yes. Nouns are always on a straight line. For example, this, because it's an object, it is an indirect object. But because it's an object, it goes on a straight line, like this. Same as that. That's why you can't do it on the himself, you can't do it on a line like this, because it's an object.
Do we have to do this one or what's that?
I would like you to, yes, but you can copy it. The other way that they had is wrong. I don't know who put it in there. Hopefully it was some previous teacher that, yeah, well, they didn't know what they were doing. Not that I do, but
Do they have it under the verb?
they have it, yeah, they have it under the,
It looks like it could work.
under the direct object there. So it's supposed to be under the, why don't we'll just run through,
It's supposed to be under the verb?
it is always supposed to be in the verb, yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I was talking about something else.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll run through the number 12 here real quick too. So I'm not gonna go subject and verb, you guys can figure that out. But I will do, and I won't do the direct object either. But I will do the indirect object. Because this is an interesting one. What is the indirect object on sentence 12?
Andy and me.
Andy and me. So what you have to do for that, and you go whoop, then doink,
Oh, I hate when
Andy, me, and Andy. Andy and me. Other questions? Very good. We have spelling words. Let's try to do them without looking. Oh, they're good ones. Vigilant, candid, that's a hard one. Verbose, contemptuous, that one's one of my favorite. Look at that one.
I don't know.
Look at that one twice. Also picturesque. Everybody done with that?
None.
Oh, yeah. Good. All right, come on up. Wahoo! You all did fairly well on your spelling. I would say most of you have been having extra time.
Which one?
Most of us are gonna.
You must have
I
been,
got a 95.
Yeah.
I don't know.
well, you could have gotten 100 if you hadn't gotten one wrong.
Well,
That's
come
what I
inside.
You could have gotten 100 if you hadn't had something that wasn't quite sure on.
Oh,
And it wasn't the only one either. I gave you grace on some of the others.
I would've gotten-
Bad penmanship pulling your grace.
It's not supposed to be.
Yeah,
a
it
that
was
is
bad
spelled
penmanship. Huh?
Is that spelled verse?
Versatile. I-L-E. Verse, so it's verse, tile. A-T-I-L. All right.
I got that one wrong too.
Yeah, there was two. Perfect. All right, Christopher, do masculine. And Richard, you do feminine. And Leah, you do grotesque. And Cody, you do succulent.
Okay, how do you spell this?
Feminine,
Feminine.
feminine, looks like feminine.
Feminine.
And masculine looks like masculine, but it's also not.
Well, so then it goes like that.
I don't think there's.
Yes.
Oh, you got it.
Good job. Grotesque. Ooh, that is grotesquely close. That's actually correct. Good job. You need 2 C's. Succulent. Yes, subject. All right, now you do picturesque, you do contemptuous, you do remedial, and you do buoyant.
Oh, I don't know how to spell that.
That's why we are spelling quiz. I'm just-
What was that, right? Contemptuous?
Contemptuous.
Picturesque.
Picturesque.
What's this for?
How is this letter?
I don't know.
Picturesque. Here, give her that one.
Okay.
Because there's no reason. But otherwise, it is correct. It's just picture with S, Q-U-T. Q, U-O-U-S. Contemptuous. Remedial, yes, sounds correct. Buoyant is B-U-O.
I got it back.
Yes, you did. All right, Cody, rhetorical.
What?
Rhetorical. Agile.
What?
Agile. Rhetorical. Yes, and you do comical, and you do gossip.
I forget how to spell that.
No.
But you did it right. Comical, yes, good. What word did I give you again? Agile. Not quite. Rhetorical also is an interesting one. Because, well, silent letters, rhetorical.
What the?
Oh my
Oh, so
goodness.
it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, basically, actually, most of it. A-L-E, C-A-L is what, rhetorical. Agile. Agile.
Is average dead?
Nobody knows.
Yes. Agile.
Whatever.
All right,
Wait, how do you do
vigilant. Tranquil. 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 Yes. You do vigilant. You do tranquil. You do verbose. Verbose.
this? Current sale fast.
And you just get like this and rancid like that. I didn't see tranquil.
Oh, what's our tranquil?
Vigilant. Ooh, a vigilante.
Or
I'm
vigilante?
not sure what's going on here. It's a V.
Okay.
It's like an upside down
It's
thing.
the G, V-I-L-A-N-T.
Or vigilante, vigilante.
Verbose, yes. Rancid, very close. I would take the E.
Yeah.
Does rancid, rancid. All right, one more for each of you.
Rancid.
You do rotund.
Yes.
Rotund, you know what rotund means?
No.
Impetuous. Rotund means fat,
How do you?
round. You do, slow it down.
You get a P.
Oh dear, I can't remember which one I did. You do morose. You do,
I'm not
You
sure
hit
if
your
that's right.
hand.
Yeah, like a thing.
you do.
Not sure if that's right or not.
Impetuous.
Roach.
That's right.
Morose. It's M-O-R-O-S-E.
What?
M-O-R-O. Morose. Impetuous. U-O-U-S is correct.
Why did they both do impetuous?
No, there was an impetuous and there was a
I know.
contemptuous. I think I did both of those. All right, and you, I don't know why you did impetuous. You were
Yeah.
supposed, oh.
Is mine right? I doubt it is.
I can do that.
It's not a hard word. but You got it right.
Shoot, I was supposed to get it wrong.
Contemptuous. That's actually correct.
Ta-da!
All right,
Bye-bye.
very good job.
Very good job. I need to help number 5. It says, have you ever read Alice in the How are you supposed to diagram that?
Remember that basically what often happens is subjects and verbs get confused in an interrogative sentence. So it's have you ever read as a subject?
You
What's the verb?
have read?
Have read. So basically, think of it as you have read.
Then ever's.
Right. Ask the question. All right. English. You all did quite well on your quiz. And I say that not mocking at all. I was quite impressed. Prepositional phrases used as adjectives. Well, you all know about prepositional phrases. You all know. Ooh. Oh. Oh well. Let's go through some of the lesson together. So first of all, the number one on page 16. The American Indians introduced the settlers to a new diet of turkey and corn. All right, so we're looking for prepositional phrases used as an adjective. So prepositional phrase first. Anything that's describing a noun. All right, so the American Indians, I'm just going to shorten this down. American Indians introduced the settlers to a new diet of turkey and corn. All right, what is my subject? Indians is my subject. What is my verb? Introduced. What else is going on? So what is my direct object? Because that's obviously a noun. Right. No. They didn't. That's the indirect object.
How is it indirect?
They introduced the diet to the settlers. The settlers received the diet.
How can a direct object is doing that?
No, these are just modifying. Oh, two. Oh, I know what it's doing. I'm still right though. This is a phrase describing, but I'm still right. It's a, what do they call it? Not a German phrase, it's another one.
Those things are always correct too.
Yeah, and they stand on stilts.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. I can't remember what it is, but it's there. That's what it is. Anyway, like I said, I'm still right. All right, so now we're looking for prepositional phrases. Oh, turkey and corn. Yes, and that is describing what? Diet. Yes. Yeah, so there's a prepositional phrase with two subjects. No, the word to, I think, is never a preposition. Is it a preposition?
Yeah.
Or something? It's still not a prepositional phrase.
Hey, so are we just supposed to put the parentheses around it, or whatever, so it's drawn?
It says put parentheses around the phrase and then draw an arrow from.
So from to to diet.
So from of turkey, no, not to, this is, oh, sorry, I was scribbling. Of turkey and corn describes diet.
Adjective phrase?
That is an adjective phrase.
Is it a prepositional phrase?
It is a prepositional phrase being used as an adjective. Yes, that's important to distinguish, because you can have a prepositional phrase that is used as an adjective or as an adverb, right? Yeah, here we are. But yes, it is a prepositional phrase, it's just being used as an adverb or an adjective, in this case, it's an adjective. All right, let's do number 2. Without writing it on the board, because I'm getting writer's cramp.
Is it from the Indians? No. Yeah, that's right.
I believe, Canada,
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So the pelts, so from the Indians is a prepositional phrase describing pelts. And then of Canada is describing Indians. Yes. All right, number 3. To tell time and measure speed, many early sailors on the Atlantic used hourglasses. On the Atlantic is describing sailors, right, it's describing where the sailors are. And also there's another one. Ooh, let me double check that. Nope, I think that's wrong. Never mind, sorry, I blew up. That's the whole thing again where we were talking. That's another phrase, I think. Lesson 6. Number 3. Yes, just sailors on the Atlantic. Mm-hmm. All right, and we'll do number 4 yet. Servants in wealthy Victorian homes.
And wealthy Victorian homes, just to say.
Yes, in wealthy Victorian homes describes servants.
And upper master of your house.
Yes, yep. Of their master describes the house, answers the question whose. And yeah, it's actually of their master and mistress. That's also correct, nice catch. There's 2 subjects in their prepositional phrase.
7, is by the end, something,
No, well, it's something, but it's not a preposition.
but the.
It is a preposition, but adverb phrase.
It is
Oh.
a prepositional phrase, it's not an adjective.
Right. Yeah, you're right, by the end. Yeah, it's describing, this is answering the question when. So yes,
That's where we go.
Is of the
New York
1800s.
City.
but so, so of the 1800s is describing end.
Yeah, that's what I have.
So of the 1800s is a prepositional phrase describing end, but by the end is describing when for the verb. It's answering the question when.
So to New York City is different.
No, because it's
No.
not adverb.
But there is another
But
one.
in the fact,
Is, yes. And in the factories it's describing jobs, correct.
Number 8, is it of the first ball games? Or of the
Of the first ball games is describing
So,
Some.
some.
that's
And
it.
is ancient Egypt one?
No.
No,
Why
because
not?
of the adverb.
Because it is an adverb phrase, that's correct. All right, so adjective phrases describe what and what?
No.
Nouns and pronouns. And they always come after the word they modify.
Yeah.
Right? So they always come after the word they modify, and they answer the same question that adjectives answer, which are
Which one would come from?
precisely which one, what kind, how many, and whose. They're not hard to just get. All right, what is a count noun versus a non-count noun?
So you could, has more, like,
Can they put it?
So for example, is California count or non-count? Non-count. And furniture is, but house is, no, we can't. But house is.
Count.
Count, precisely, yeah. You can't sell your furnitures. Both furnitures we sold.
Install our set.
That makes no sense. Yeah, we sold our set of furniture, but in that case, set is a noun and of furniture is an adjective phrase. All right.
The Europe is, so for 21, if I write, she put her books on her new bookshelf. No,
You don't, basically, all you have to,
while she put her books on her new bookshelf, that's how
yeah, that'll work. You fix that one way or another. You basically need to put a subject in there that does not, that can put, and then you're fine. But if you have your bookshelf putting, it makes no sense.
well, you have to, underline week, or circle it or something.
The book says no,
Okay.
but it makes me mad that they say no. The thing is, so it is a pronoun, right?
Mhm.
And,
But it's just the cow though, the dog.
we can't do we's. We. Sounds like a little pig. Yeah, so 12 is, it doesn't have anything for that, which annoys me, no end, whatever. If you do anything to it, it'll be a non-count. You're gonna get fresh ones every more in the closet. I'll do two while you're at it. One on each side of it. What's that?
Yeah.
On paper.
After that was sort of the impossible, it's getting the doctor, so I'm not listening, so he wasn't serving as the authorized village. Now, I was the one child for the shade division. Every place that was sold, you're different, on that, regular, business, everything else.
Slow down this a little bit, not race. As I said unto Moses.
Organize the next level, even the great word, revenue freeze, all along the headlines, not to the great sea, going down to the coast. There shall be pain and you to spend clay on the days of Noah. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee, I will not fail thee. See. Be strong and be encouraged, for this people shall divide her inheritance the land, which is for their fathers to give.
Very good. Feel free.
Not to say that's the silver wood. Here came the passage, so just taking the driver up for some reason.
Slow it down a little bit, there's no rush.
Was this my favorite day? The red roll rides from the store out and all the people. Under the language that we did and even with the children. Every place that was old here for the shall tread upon. That having given unto you. They said in the month. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river of Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites. And unto the great sea from going down of the sun shall be your coast. Thou shalt not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. For unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land. Thou shalt divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them.
You missed 4 words.
Where's that?
That would be in 92.
Which one?
You said, be strong and courageous, and be strong and of a good courage.
So I missed those 4 that was in missed.
Yeah.
I'm traveling with one right now.
Mhm.
After that, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses finished saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore rise. Go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward going down of the sun shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Be strong and have a good courage. For unto this people thou shalt divide their inheritance, the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. And it's now
The nice guy only just wants to ignore it. You got thou and shalt.
shalt
Switched
thou.
around. This shalt thou divide for an inheritance. I can call it a 98, or else.
Also, just that, I want to get 100.
I know.
It's easy enough to get 100.
I know, it's not that hard.
I was thinking about the other thing, did not get it wrong, and then I got that.
Yeah, it's not that difficult to get 100, but there's always one little thing that'll just inconvenience you.
That is inconvenient.
If you want, what might help you is if you write verse 6 down one time. Very often taking that time to actually just write it down just cements it in your head. You may.
After the death of Moses, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore rise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people under the line, which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that I will give unto you, and he said unto Moses, there shall not any from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even under the great river, the river Euphrates, all the way to the Hittites, and under the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As it was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Be strong and have a good courage. For unto these people shalt thou divide for their inheritance the land which I gave to their fathers to give to their fathers to give them. Oh, I missed it. I did.
The land which I swear unto their fathers to give them.
Right, I missed it.
You can, what's happening now is your brain is getting too saturated with all the options. So if you let it go for a while, you'll probably come back tomorrow and just nail it first try.
That's great.
It is frustrating. The problem is, the more frustrated you get, the less able you are to actually fill it out. So, oh, there's something that just take time. Yes, ma'am.
And books. Is this an action book?
Yes, it is.
An action direct action?
Just right is, yes, right is an action, so books is direct action. Yes, sir. Yes, you may. I am not going to be, actually, I don't even ask that you ask me to go. You can just, I mean, if people are out all the time, I'll start asking questions, but, if you have something to do, just go do it. Unless, of course, it's the middle of class time. Like, when we're having a class. Yes, ma'am.
So, on those ones that were not those like changing base numbers, are we supposed to reduce them?
If they start out as mixed numbers, I think they want them back as mixed numbers.
Okay.
That seems to be what their system is.
But just like these right here,
Those do not reduce them to mixed numbers, but you do have to reduce them to the lowest terms. Yes. Leah, do you have pens?
and
You can do it.
Let's kill, I just got killed right there.
You'll be fine. You'll survive it.
Yeah.
Right on.
How many's in here?
There are 8 of us. Well, 9. 9 with me. Make sure you have enough.
Yeah, you got it. Let's take it all. See
Oh,
if I
well.
can count.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
8, 9, okay.
Appreciate it.
Help yourselves, yes.
I had a question now.
Okay. I will be right there. Actually, I'll just go ahead and do that because
Are we doing the rest of the extra practice?
you can, if you studied your Bible, remember you can read a book now for a minute. See if this afternoon.
This thing right here. So for W, if it's gonna be a negative.
Well, what is the absolute value of 2 minus 6?
4. So we're just gonna skip it and not put a negative number there.
Well, because you have the absolute value, so now you don't need that. No, there is no negative.
I'm looking at that.
Now it's just the distance from, yeah. Starbursts are about the best canyons, bro. Those guys over there. Here. You sure do well. Is that yours?
No.
This one? The pink ones are the best. You can start doing like the Sour Patch Kids, where they will, the blue ones are the best. Yeah.
My teacher, she taught me how to be, she got the pencil Sour Patch Kid there. And passed around each kid.
Yeah. Nice.
I think you're saying. Yeah.
Well, actually, no.
We don't know how many bags we went through the 3 years she taught us, but we were quite a few.
That's intense. No, I bought one of those 5-pound gummy bears once.
Have I even like,
Oh, wow.
was it like on a stick? It wasn't. I think those are smaller. Like, cheaper.
It was big enough. That's what I know. I remember it took 16 students a solid 3 or 4 days to finish it off.
We were 17 of us.
Oh, thank you.
Basically a week.
Yeah, bro.
Let's go.
We had maybe 2 weeks to get a whole pack out.
It took us like a week.
Maybe it'll take us long.
The 10-pound bags. That's a lot of corn.
17 students.
That's roughly 9 pounds. The corn syrup, 1 pound.
At the end of the year, Zach did like a big old
We
pile.
helped clean up his desk and have half bitten ones. They were all blue.
All blue.
He always got all the blue.
So we helped clean up his desk and we were fine.
No, apparently you can order custom mixes at SourPatchKids.com, which, not going to do that. Although Sour Patch Kids are weaknesses. But, no.
I mean, reduce 20 over the top.
I introduced
Okay, so they need to be reduced to lowest terms.
Yeah, but like,
So 22 over 12 needs to be reduced to,
is that good enough?
did it start out as a mixed number?
No, we started out with that.
No. If it starts out as a mixed number, then do, like in this case, I would be hidden because this is 5 over 1.
Then we have to go.
But if it starts out, yeah, exactly. If it starts out as a mixed number, it needs to end up as a mixed number.
Are they supposed to end up as a mixed number?
If it starts out as a mixed number. If they don't, then they don't need it.
So these 31,
Yeah, like see, it starts out as a mixed number, so it should end
they're
up.
both mixed numbers.
Right. Yeah.
And then
31 to 33.
look. That, is that what it's supposed to be mixed numbers? These two?
Yes, since we're starting out as mixed numbers, we need to end up as mixed numbers.
30 is
Is it,
I think. Let me double check on that.
The six
Because you got a lot of.
If you don't 7/45 for 6.
But that seems to be their system, near as I can figure out.
That's not right.
That's less than 7, correct?
Yeah.
Less
6,
than
I came out with
7.
3.
Less than 7, number 3,
6 is 3.
number 6. Yes, that's correct.
And then that means 8 is 1 1/3.
Yes.
That is 5/14, that's actually not.
Mhm.
That's a mixed number.
That's not mixed. Well, let's see. The thing is, if it doesn't end up as a mixed number, which in this case, 5/14, there is no whole number. So it doesn't matter. You just leave it as it is.
Let's see. And then 34 through 38, there were 3 empty sets.
Yes.
There's 3 of them because.
Well, there's 1 0 and 2 empty sets.
There's 3 empty sets.
There's not 3.
I have 3, I have 35, 37, and 38.
37.
Not 37.
What is the number that is an integer? Not-
And negative integer, any negative integer.
So -1.
Yeah, -1, -3, -5, doesn't matter. Any negative integer.
46. 46 I have is a mixed number.
You do not need that one to be a mixed number. That one can be an improper fraction.
10/17?
Precise. How'd that one start out? 40? Yes. Because it didn't start out as a mixed
That
number.
makes 44. That one's supposed to be.
44 needs to be a mixed number, yes. Started out as a mixed, yes.
29 goes out at 8.
44 needs to be one, yes.
So then 29 is 3. Oh, no.
29, no, because 5 is 5/1.
For 29, I came up with 41/9.
What did you come up with?
Nope, you figure it out yourself.
I have 11/45.
Wrong.
49. The lowest common denominator is 9 then. I have 45.
Yes, the lowest common denominator is 9, because 5/1,
Yeah.
you can have anything. Which means that then it turns into 5 times 9 on the top, which is 45. Then you subtract, what is it, 7?
But it's subtraction.
Yes.
1/9.
Okay, so 5/1 minus 4/9, right?
Yeah.
5/1 minus 4/9. So that means this turns into 9 on the bottom. No. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top, so you have to
45.
45, yes. Subtract 4/9.
41/9.
Yes, 41/9 is correct.
Is that the answer?
That is the answer.
41/9.
It is time for lunch.